I'm David G here, Sheshnag Yoga Center. This video is about the system that yoga works on. Could be scientific, could be philosophical, could be physiological. Doesn't matter, it's there. And similarly to the system that we call the gastrointestinal tract or the alimentary canal. We digest something, we eat something, we digest it. Through the digestion we utilize the good parts, we extract and discard the waste products. We have a lot of systems, I think 13 physiological ones. But this one, called the Linga Sharira, the subtle body, made up of what they call the prana vayus, which have 5 by nature: udana, vyana, prana, apana and samana. They're made up collectively in what could be termed the denser form of prana, called the stula prana. I believe they are connected to the human framework. I also believe that they're connected on a subtle level to the more subtle aspects of prana, called the sukshma prana. And within the sukshma prana is where the chakras and the nadis reside. They are very fine in essence and collectively tie in to the physical framework as well as the subtle parts of our framework, emotionally and psychologically, to allow the expression of consciousness to occur. Through the Linga Sharira, the experience of evolution of consciousness happens on a very subtle level, but moves from the very dense interpretation of reality through to the very subtle interpretation and ultimately landing with the direct perception and absorption into all that there is and the substratum of all existence, when eventually the individual soul, in Sanskrit termed Jivatma, merges with Paramatma. The 3 main nadis involved in such an experience are Ida, which vibrates with the feminine or the lunar energy; Pingala, which is the masculine or solar energy; and then Sushumna, the central canal, where once the Ida and Pingala are balanced and collectively move up, activating and harmonizing all the chakras and going through experiences relative to perception of reality, the energy moves from the base of the spine up through Sushumna. On the way to the top of the channel, there is 3 knots, and they are unlocked on the way if a person is lucky enough. I don't believe in luck, but in this culture we use the word luck. Maybe fortunate enough or evolved enough. The first knot, they're called Grantis. First knot is Brahma Granti, second one is Vishnu Granti, third one is Rudra Granti. Rudra Granti unlocked just before the experience of merging with the Great Being. Merging with all that there is. And that can happen according to a very subjective experience relative to a person's own previous penance, mainly their constitutional, elemental components, and their own psychological and emotional predispositions, which you need to go with rather than fight against. So yoga can't be all the same for everyone, because there's a type of yoga for all types of constitutions. I personally am scientifically minded, predominantly air element, have a lot of vata in me, predominantly vata according to 3 different types of, what are they, humours? Nah, they're not humours, there's something, but in Ayurveda they're referred to, you've got vata, kapha and pitta. So depending on your own mix of things, then the system that yoga works on will work relative to enhancing and balancing and understanding your own elemental constitution. On a vibrational level, the Linga Sharira can be predominantly influenced by 3 things. One is physically, like the asana of yoga. It can be influenced vibrationally, let's say through music, and it can be influenced through the mind and concentration and intense focus of that mind. On a vibrational level and physically, maybe mentally as well. When you chant it mentally instead of out loud, the mind can focus, and the vibrations set by the mind can influence the Linga Sharira. If you look at the chakras and the nadis going through each of them, the chakras actually resonate independently relative to the Sanskrit alphabet. Deep within the Linga Sharira resides the Sanskrit alphabet. In the chakras, there's 4 channels in the lower Muladhara chakra, Swadhisthana chakra, or Swadhisthana, has 6, Manipura 10, Anahata 12, Vishuddhi 16, Agnya 2, Sahasrara 1000, which is collectively 20 times the 50 letters of the other chakras, which is 1,000 vibrations emanating out of the skull or the top chakra, which sits pretty much on the skull, or then we get into opinions again. I'm just giving you a brief overview of the physiology relating to the Linga Sharira. If you look right into it, on a vibrational level, the wavelengths and frequencies of the Sanskrit alphabet can influence it directly. It is a science, even in regards to the science, and correlating that to the Sanskrit alphabet. The Sanskrit word for yoga, or it is a Sanskrit word, it's the most well-known Sanskrit word on the planet. You look at the verbal root of yoga, yug, which means to unify. The whole goal of yoga is to work through the Linga Sharira to be able to unify the individual soul with all that there is. How you do this is relative to your predetermined agenda as a spiritual being before you chose to incarnate. If it was a choice. If it wasn't and you got pushed out into the body, well, that's cool too. You still have a predetermined agenda. You've come into the body, you've got a physiological, psychological, emotional constitution. You're interested in some things, you're not in others. You're either like, you've got emotional aspects, maybe the majority of your expression. You've got psychological aspects, you've got intuitive aspects, whatever it is. Yoga is union of your individual soul with the Great Being. There are, according to the yogic teachings, 4 stages. The last one is the desire for liberation, the desire to transcend the physical reality to merge with all that there is. It's called mumukshuttva, and it is another Sanskrit word that means the desire for moksha. Ultimately, you're connected to everything. The signs are everywhere. The pyramids, the American banknote, the triangle on there, the eye, the Egyptian Eye of Ra, the Ouroboros, serpent swallowing its own tail, dissolution of the self in the self. Doesn't matter where you go on the planet. The goal is yoga. The physiological system that it works through, that is tied to the human framework, is in Sanskrit called the Linga Sharira, the subtle body. That's all I've got to say about that. I'm all in. I hope you can help me. I'm davidg.sheshnag.com. I need a little bit of help, but I'm thinking I'm not worrying about it too much because all will be. And that's about it. I'm born in the image of the Creator. And this is what I'm going to create. I hope you create your own reality, and it is a peaceful, harmonious one that embraces a lot of love for everyone. Om Namah Sheshnaga, Om Namah Shivaya, Hara Hara Mahadev.